You won't believe how easy it is to make these beautiful, dreamy, and delicious cookies. Hey you guys, in this video, I'm going to walk you through how to easily elevate your cookies using edible flowers and my simple sugar cookie recipe. These are visually stunning and perfect for any beautiful occasion. If you're new to my channel, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button so you don't miss out on my new recipes and baking tips. And for your reference, the recipe and all the tools I use in this video will be left in the description box below. So without further ado, let's dive into this. Let me first show you guys the flowers I'm using for this recipe. They are edible, dried pansies, and I bought them from Etsy. These flowers are perfect for adding an elegant touch to food decorations. They're also very popular as cocktail garnishes and cake toppers, making them a versatile addition to your culinary creations. I'm going to start off with making my dough by mixing my dry ingredients. This recipe calls for flour, baking powder, salt, and cornstarch. Okay, so now it's time to cream some butter and sugar. You can use cold butter straight from the fridge. Just cut it up into cubes so that it's easier to cream. I'm using my handheld mixer here, but feel free to use your stand mixer with the paddle attachment if it's easier. We don't want to incorporate too much air into the dough, so it's important to not overmix. I'm adding in 1 egg and the vanilla extract, and I'm going to mix that in until it's well combined. This is optional, but I love adding a bit of almond extract. It just adds a nice, light, nutty flavor. Mix this until it's just combined. Again, we don't want to overmix, so do not mix this for over a minute. Next, I'm adding my flour in 3 stages, mixing only until just combined after each stage. Once all the flour is in, you're going to want to work the dough with your hands. So to finish off mixing the dough, I'm just folding it in until you barely see any flour left. So you can wrap the dough in plastic and keep it in the fridge or freezer if you want to save it for another day. I typically like working with chilled dough so that you have more control of handling the cutouts. So here I'm just rolling out my chilled dough on a lightly floured surface. Keep in mind you don't want to add too much flour because you don't want to dry out the cookie. You only want to add enough flour so that it doesn't stick to the surface. Once the dough is about ½ an inch thick, you can start to cut out your cookie shape. I'm using a simple round cookie cutter here that's about 2½ inches in diameter. Next, you're going to dab a tiny bit of water on the surface. This will help the flowers to stick. Keep in mind you don't need too much. Now for my favorite part, you're going to take the edible flowers and press them on top. Sometimes the petals will break apart, but I think it still looks so beautiful placing them at random spots. As you can see, I decided to practically fill each one with flowers. You can of course make them more simple and just put 1 flower on each one for a more minimal look. You really can't go wrong when it comes to placement, especially when the flowers are naturally beautiful like these. Next, you're going to take some parchment paper and place it on top. Without applying any pressure, gently roll the rolling pin. You don't want to apply any weight. This will just help to embed and flatten the flowers in place. There's something so satisfying seeing the final placement of the flowers. So now I'm separating the cutouts by peeling away the excess dough surrounding them. And I'm just using an offset spatula to help me make things a little easier. I mean, look how absolutely stunning these are. The vibrant colors of the flowers make it so elegant and yet so fun, but still has a beautiful rustic style. So I'm just going to keep re-rolling the excess dough, making more cutouts, and I'm going to repeat the steps until I run out of dough. This recipe makes about 28 cookies. Alright guys, so here's the trick to keeping the color and shape for these cookies. You need to bake them when they are very, very cold. To do this, I'm going to layer and stack them in a container with parchment paper in between each layer and then place them in the freezer overnight. If you want to bake them the same day, make sure to refrigerate them for at least a couple of hours. This step is so crucial because the heat of the oven can dull the colors and reduce their vibrancy. By baking them while they're still very cold, you help preserve those beautiful colors throughout the baking process. So I froze these overnight and I transferred them to the refrigerator as I preheated my oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit. Again, we want to bake these while they are super cold, and I bake these for about 12 minutes. This step is optional, but for a touch of added sparkle, you can sprinkle a tiny bit of sugar on the cookies as soon as they come out of the oven. This creates a light glimmer on top that makes them even more enticing. Be sure to wait a few minutes until the cookies have cooled before removing them from the pan to prevent any breakage. Beautiful floral cookies with a rustic charm that's hard to resist. The way the petals are embedded in the dough just adds such a unique and elegant touch, making each cookie look like a miniature work of art. Not only are they incredibly delicious, but they are also a feast for the eyes. These cookies are truly one of a kind. They also make fantastic party favors. Just pop them into clear cookie bags and you have yourself beautiful and elegant gifts for your guests. These cookies are sure to impress and delight anyone who receives them. I hope you guys give this recipe a try. Again, the recipe and all the tools I used are linked down below. If you make these, I'd love to hear how they turned out. Thank you so much for watching, guys, and I'll catch you in the next one.